A field here at Wyomissing High School, Wyomissing Spartans and the Boyertown Bears coming up. Bob Rotrock here with you. It is a solemn day. It is our 9/11 remembrance and observation.
Accepting the American flag today will be Dave's widow, Karen Bunn. Joining Karen on the field today are son Colin, daughter Caitlin, Dave's brother Matt, Matt's wife Laura, and Dave's niece Alexandra. Now, Bunzy was a fixture in our community as a coach, scout leader, and Spartan game manager. He was a truly selfless individual, always had a kind word of encouragement, an enthusiastic demeanor, and a welcoming smile. He was a friend to all who met him and an enemy to none, and boy could he grill. Earlier today, we commemorated Dave's memory by unveiling a plaque positioned in front of the flagpole. The plaque reads, "In loving memory of Dave Bunzy Bunn, friend, coach, and outstanding member of the community." Karen, family, and friends, today, the Spartan football family and Wyomissing area community honors David and thanks him for his service to our country and our community. Ladies and gentlemen, the late Dave Bunn. All right, Spartan fans, you know the tradition here. Spartan fans, will you please get on your feet?
Okay, and with that, we are ready for the Wyomissing Spartans home opener with the Spartans 2-0 against T.J. Miller's Boyertown Bears, who are 1-1. It is a special day here at the A Field with the fans returning, and here come the Spartans momentarily.
And help me to welcome onto the field. They are the defending Section 2 of the Berks Football League champions. They're the defending District 3 Class AAA champions. Here are the 2021 Wyomissing area football Spartans.
And that is lineman Alex Kaufman, number 62, handing off the flag to Dave Bunn's family on our annual 9/11 ceremony here that they've been doing for 30 years. Okay, so with that, to begin our broadcast, I think on kind of that solemn note in this 9/11 tradition here at Wyomissing, we get ready for football. And Bob Wolfram's Wyomissing Spartans here in his 35th year as head coach of the Spartans, his 50th year as a coach, and the two-time defending District 3 champs play back at home for the first time this year, play in front of fans at home for the first time in a couple years. We had some friends and family here in the stands during the home games last year, but obviously it was not the same. This is a Wyomissing team that has never won 3 straight district titles, but after last week's win at the Pottsville Crimson Tide, in which the Spartans were pretty much dominant in a 42-14 win, there are some high hopes that this team can actually three-peat. The Boyertown Bears are 1-1 under fifth-year head coach T.J. Miller. Last week playing another powerhouse in Exeter, and they lost 56-8, and the game got away from him a little early, but he said he was still proud of his kids who competed all the way to the very end. And they can roll up some points contrary to what we saw out of them last week. Their first game of the season on the road at Upper Perkiomen, they won 35-12 against the Indians, and they run an option offense, which Bob Wolfram says is always tricky and can always be tough to contend with, and always has the potential for the big play. My name is Bob Rotrock, and Paul Gornowski joins me here as well for today's broadcast on an absolutely perfect day for football from the A Field. My goodness, we couldn't get any better weather for this game.
No, Chamber of Commerce weather. You know, you couldn't pick this. You couldn't pick better weather if you wanted to. Great to welcome the fans back. Like you said, they weren't here last year. And sports, nothing without the fans. So it's going to be tremendous to have that atmosphere back, to welcome this Wyomissing team back home after 2 straight dominant road victories. As you said last week, over Pottsville and then over Daniel Boone in the season opener. So great to get this team back at home, and an interesting test up against Boyertown, a team, as you said, as Coach Miller told us before the game, looking to grow, looking to get better. So it'll be interesting to see how this game goes this afternoon.
Boyertown is a 6A team, and he recognizes his team is still the underdog against the Class 3A Wyomissing Spartans. Right now, we pause for a moment of silence in the national
3
anthem.
years ago, the tragedy of September 11th, 2001 shook this nation. This afternoon, with a moment of silence, we remember those who lost their lives as a result of the cowardice of terrorism. We remember the civilian victims who never returned home that day. We remember the first responders who perished while bravely attempting to save human life. We remember the servicemen and women who have since died protecting our freedom. We remember those lives that were irreparably altered, the families and friends, spouses and partners who have lived each day with the grief. And we remember the many children who grew up without a parent. Please, a moment of silence to remember those we lost and the heroes who would walk among us. Thank you. We will never forget, and God bless America.
Sun shining and 74 degrees here at the A field, and a bright and beautiful day for the Wyomissing Spartans against the Boyertown Bears in this non-conference matchup, and the first meeting between these two schools since 2004. It was Boyertown head coach T.J. Miller, whose school took on Exeter last week, and now Wyomissing this week. He says, what do we get out of beating up on teams that were better than 50-0? We want the challenges. We want to take on the teams that are equal to or better than us, and certainly Boyertown, after a 56-8 loss last week against Exeter, I think that they can be considered the underdog going in here against the two-time defending District 3A champion Wyomissing Spartans. And it will be Boyertown to kick off to begin this game with Zach Foskey, the name of their kicker. He is a senior. And I see Amory Thompson, who is deep to return, and we are ready for football here at the A field. Amory Thompson is back there along with Drew Eisenhower. And they have big Jemai Jackson, who scored a touchdown last week at Pottsville, directly ahead of them. And wearing the blue jerseys here at home, it's great to see the home blues instead of those all-white away jerseys, which I think look very sharp as well. We're ready to go for the home opener in 2021. And here's a little pooch kick that might bounce out of bounds, and it's rolling, and it will. And so Wyomissing will start this game with very nice field position to begin for Ben Zeckman and company. Ben Zekman is the quarterback with the fullback Tommy Grabowski and averaging almost 100 yards per game. Amory Thompson and Drew Eisenhower the halfbacks. Nevin Carter at split end. Aiden Mack, who is on his way to the University of Richmond, is the tight end. Preston Aikman, who had several good blocks last week, and Javan Williams, 6'4" and 310 pounds with the 2 tackles. 2 guards are Jack Miller and John Gardner. And we are actually going to do a re-kick here, so let's get that all set up again. And Julian DeMayo, who had a fumble recovery last week as a defensive lineman, he is the center. So we've set the offense for you, but we're doing a re-kick here from the 35-yard line, and it gives a chance for Thompson or Eisenhower, who had a huge kickoff return last week. And here we go. 2 touchdowns for Eisenhower last week. This is going to get booted over their heads, and Eisenhower's going to pick it up at the 5, and he has to turn around, and now he's cutting his way around the 30 into the 35. He's into the open field and wrapped up by a couple of tacklers at the 37-yard line and brought down there by Cole Yasavage.
This might come back. I think I see it look to be a flag down at about the 33-yard line, and it will.
They have called it a hold against Wyomissing. So a great return scrambling around for Drew Eisenhower is going to come back. And that hold might have been a little later on the return as well, just based on where the flag was. So that's a little frustrating. Eisenhower, who late in the game last week had an 80-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Would have been really nice field position to start, but maybe now not quite so much. Defensively for Boyertown, secondary, Cade Sennett, Jason Oakes, Brandon Shade, and Roman Marinello is a strong safety, who also is one of their top running backs. All right, so Ben Zekman and company ready to get this thing going. Tommy Grabowski is directly behind him, and the handoff right up the middle. Big holes for Grabowski, and a gain of 15 on the first play of the game. Tommy Grabowski, 2 touchdowns and 108 yards last week, and 170 touchdowns and 6 yards per carry on the season. The offensive line had some big holes for these guys last week against Pottsville, and already off to a flying start here against TJ Miller's Boyertown Bears, and this is the field position they would have had it not been for the holding penalty. There's another handoff right up the middle, but kind of stuffed, and maybe a gain of just a couple for a fired-up Boyertown team, and a 2-yard gain for Grabowski will bring up 2nd and 8.
Nathan Deming wearing number 74.
And there, something Coach Miller from Boyertown was worried about with this Wyo offense is staying home, reading keys, because it's they run very similar offenses. They call one an option at Boyertown. Wyo, it's a wing T, but there's a lot of motion, a lot of misdirection. The first play it worked. The first play of this new set of downs, not so much.
Grabowski lone in the backfield, and Eisenhower lined up as a tight end. It's going to come back to Avery Thompson, who rotated back and gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage. It just wasn't open for him there on right tackle, and it looked like Matt Cavallari got in there and stuffed him for the no gain, and it brings up a 3rd and 8 from their own 40 as Roy Falloon checks into the lineup and replaces Nevin Carter for the Spartans before this play. Boy, it's so nice to have fans here again. Nice turnout coming in from Boyertown as well on the visiting side, and it feels normal. Last year, it never felt normal. Talking with Bob Wolfram about that before today's game. In motion, it is Eisenhower. Zekman's going to drop back and pass, and he's got a receiver, and it is caught, and all the way downfield. Look at this. What a big catch and run for Aiden Mack. Aiden Mack attack was wide open on the left sideline about the 40-yard line, and then he took it all the way down to about the 10. I thought he was going to take it to the house.
I did too, and something I've noticed early on with Boyertown, knowing Wyomissing likes to run the football, they're pressing up on the line of scrimmage, almost all 11 players in the box. There, Wyomissing comes out with the pass. Boyertown not ready for it. Huge play to the tight end.
First down from the 11, so pretty much 1st and goal or very close. thought it was Grabowski, but it might have been to Eisenhower. Ben Zekman, I think, kind of faked me out there, too. It was Eisenhower after the fake give to Grabowski and a gain of maybe a couple, maybe no gain, really. 2nd and 10 from the 11 as Rory Falloon exits and Nevin Carter returns into the lineup for the Wyomissing Spartans, threatening to strike first just 3 minutes into this game. Well, Ben Zekman getting under center here with Grabowski behind him, and Amory Thompson is in motion. There's Thompson. He'll go around right end, untouched. Not a hand on him into the end zone. Touchdown! Amory Thompson has an 11-yard touchdown run for his 3rd score of the season, and the Wyomissing Spartans draw first blood with 8:53 to go in the first quarter.
And right there, Wyomissing starting this game out, running inside, trying to pound between the tackles. I was wondering, Boyertown has some very big players in the middle. If Wyomissing could get outside and gain that advantage, and there it did, and it worked beautifully.
Wevering's extra point is up, and it is good. He was perfect last week. He only missed one of them the week before. So Ian Levering, 13 for 14 on the point afters. And the Wyomissing Spartans race out to a 7-0 lead. The Wyomissing Football Association, the WFA, is sponsoring these broadcasts on SFBN on YouTube, and we thank all of our current members supporting the WFA, making this broadcast and all of our broadcasts possible. And we thank you for your overall support of Wyomissing football. For those who are not members yet, what's holding you up? Visit wyofootball.com, click on the WFA tab to join and support the program. The Wyomissing Spartans come into this game rated number 3 in the state in Class 3A. North Schuylkill out of District 11 is number 1. Central Valley Warriors, the defending state champs, but they lost a lot of seniors last year. They did win last week, but it was a closer game, not one of their typical Mercy Rule blowouts. But they remain number 2. Wyomissing at number 3. And Notre Dame Green Pond, the Crusaders, also out of District 11, are number 4. District 11 did not participate in the state tournament last year, but we're back to a more normal alignment for this season. Here's Ian Levering for the kickoff, and he's going to drill that deep, and it's going to be over the head of Cade Sennett. Got a fingertip on it, and now they'll bring it back on the kickoff return. Yeah, that was Sennett who went back and got the ball. And so here comes Ant Panarello, the 6-foot-tall junior quarterback for the Boyertown Bears. The running back, number 34, Roman Marinello, who can, carry the mail pretty decently for them. Number 8, Jason Oakes. Number 2, Leo Egby have had a couple of nice games. Wide receivers, 28, Luke Ordway, 24, Brandon Shane. Center, Cole Marinello gets thrust into that position. Justin Anasaya is a guard along with P.J. Cunius. James Taborin and Nathan Deming are the tackles for T.J. Miller's Boyertown Bears. And here's a handoff that looks like it went to Leo Egby, and that was Egby, and he's going to gain a couple of yards. Defensively for Wyomissing with Julian DeMeo, Javen Williams, and Payson Ziegler not in the lineup is Ziegler. He is still out for a couple more weeks, and so that gives some opportunities for Caleb Brewer, who has really filled in nicely. Tommy Grabowski, Jack Miller is back, Aiden Mack, and Matt Kramer is back from his injury after Maurice Ponton filled in quite admirably last year. 2nd and 11, and here's another handoff up the middle, and maybe a pickup of a couple there for Kolya Savage. And then the secondary, and you've got 3 guys who are 3-year starters defensively, including Amory Thompson and Nevin Carter, the cornerbacks, along with safeties Drew Eisenhower and Charlie McIntyre. Tommy Grabowski, the linebacker, who's also the fullback, is another one of those 3-year starters. Okay, here comes 3rd and 8 for the Boyertown Bears with Panarello, the quarterback, in the shotgun, has some motion, and he kind of threw that over his intended receiver out on the left flat with Luke Ordway over there. 4th and 8, and Boyertown will punt it away.
And that'll bring in number 93, Colin Eisenhower.
And just great discipline that entire series by the YO defense. Trying to run up the middle, 2 straight plays, didn't get much. and then a quick pass, and the pressure just got right to Panarello, and he had no time to try to hit his receiver out in the flat.
Colin Eisenhardt is the punter. Amory Thompson is standing almost right on the 50 to return. The ball is on the 24. Here is the punt. It is high, and it's going to push Amory Thompson back about 10 yards. And he did not signal a fair catch. And now he's going to find an open hole to the 50. There's a flag on the play. He's down the sideline and all the way cutting back in and kind of hauled down by the back of his jersey at the 5. But we have to contend with this laundry on the field. And it's the second nice return that is coming back for, naturally, that appears to be what happened. So the great run back and return for Amory Thompson, who caught that ball running backwards at about the 35, got his feet straight. He brought it back from the 35 all the way down to about the 10 or the 5, but the flag was thrown at the 50, and so we mark it off from the spot of the foul. And so Ben Zeckman and company will go to work from their own 39-yard line. 7-0 Wyo with 7:15 to go in the first quarter. Boyertown is a team that, is on their way. They are very young, and they've lost some key players to injuries. Their offensive line was already going to be young. They just got younger. Kyle Pry is a senior lineman on both sides of the ball, and he's out with an injury. That really stings. Man in motion, handoff to Grabowski after Charlie McIntyre was busting across from right to left, and Grabowski will be met at the line of scrimmage. And we've seen a few no gains here for a while, a couple of big holes too, but a couple times they've been stuffed. Nash Conrad is a 6'2" tall junior lineman who knocked them down at the line of scrimmage. It almost felt after a little bit like it was too easy against Pottsville. They fell for some of the dekes and the fakes and the misdirections, and the holes were gigantic, and a lot of 6 and 8 and 15-yard pickups. Second down. Oh, he tripped over the turf here, did McIntyre. On the reverse, and he comes around.
Fell on it.
And, it looked like he just sort of stubbed his cleat into the grass turf here and goes down for a loss of 5.
And to be honest, I'm not sure he would have, if he didn't trip, he wasn't going to get much yardage anyway. That Boyertown front 4 broke through and right on this drive causing problems for Wyomissing.
Well, Wyo turned it into a big gain for Aiden Mack on the only pass of the game for Wyo, all the way down to the 11. Let's see what Ben Zeckman tries on 3rd and 11. He's going to throw. He's got Mack open. Well, it was batted at him on the line of scrimmage. I'm not even sure Mack was that open out there on the right sideline, but Luke Ordway goes up, and Ben Zeckman threw it right into his hands.
The Stars with a 4th down 15.
And so to punt it away will be number 25, Riker Jones. Roman Marinello
is deep.
One of their big defensive backs and receivers, and he is deep to return for the Boyertown Bears. 74 degrees at game time here at the A field at Wyomissing. Riker Jones has all day to line it up, boots it away, bounces inside the 30, and then rolls down to the 20 and inside the 20. Where it'll be down from there. Boyertown is going to start from their own 19-yard line here.
First down and 10.
And that's just a great job by Riker Jones to pin Boyertown deep, losing some yards, ending up behind the sticks. Could have given Boyertown a little bit of field position, but they're starting this drive right where they started the last drive, so a great job by Jones. And Boyertown's going to have to go a long way here midway through the first.
Anthony Panarello, who doesn't go by Tony, he goes by Ant. I like it, and here is the 6-foot-tall junior quarterback, Ant Panarello. And just plowing forward right off the snap on the handoff, the give to Leo Egby. Egby maybe with a yard on the play. WFA and Wyomissing football thanks our following sponsors, including the Berkshire Family Restaurant of Wyomissing, GNA Restaurant in West Reading, and the Hitching Post in Leesport, PA. We couldn't do it without you. Our Wyomissing football program sponsors making these broadcasts possible. 5:15 to go in the first quarter, 2nd and 9. And scrambling around and with a lot of open space, Panarello caught up to and brought down by Drew Eisenhower. getting him by the ankles, and a good open field tackle. Maybe got a couple yards there, but it really could have been a lot worse.
It could have been because a few of the right side defenders for Wyomissing got sucked in. But then, as you said, Eisenhower did a great job tracking down the quarterback to prevent that, because when the quarterback breaks contain, that can usually spell trouble. But right there, nowhere to run. Great pursuit.
3rd and 7. Panarello under center. He has Egby back with him in the backfield. Fake handoff, play action, and he finds Egby, who's open in the right flat out of the backfield, but he's smacked down shy of the first down marker. Looked like, Jack Miller, they announced it before I did, but that was 59. Jack Miller getting in there on the tackle. 4th and 1. This is a really interesting decision here for TJ Miller. And I think they're going for it, yeah. And on 4th and 1, but all the way back at their own 29. And they're not even packing it into the box either. They've got some receivers out there. Here's Panarello. He's got Egby behind him on 4th and 1 from their own 29, and a big moment here this early part of the game, and now he's calling timeout. You know, we saw this as well last week against Pottsville. It was closer to midfield, but they just sort of stalled and were trying to draw him offside and see if they could get a cheapo first down. But here he didn't even go through that exercise. He calls the timeout, and let's see what Boyertown here brings to the table on 4th and 1 from their own 29. A Football Family Book is the history of West Reading and Wyomissing area football. Contact Frank Ferrandino to purchase your copy. Also available online at wyofootball.com. The history of Wyomissing and West Reading football. And I mean, it's 75 years strong, and it's a terrific book and a terrific present with the holidays coming up. A Football Family. And now they are going to punt it away.
Yeah, this is the right decision. You admire what they're trying to do, trying to draw Wyomissing offside. Like you said, Pottsville tried it last week to no avail. But after the stand your defense just had, you don't want to give Wyomissing the football this far in plus territory.
Eisenhower gets a big boot away. Man, he's got a big leg. I heard about this guy, but now you see it. Amory Thompson had to scramble back to the 22 to catch it, and now he's running backwards, and now he's going forwards. And he bounces off a couple guys and stays on his feet at the 25 up to the 35. And he turned something out of nothing there. He absolutely should have been brought down 13 yards earlier than what he was. What terrific escapability there for Amory Thompson, the senior running back and receiver. And on that punt return, I mean, he had 3 guys staring right ahead of him, and he still didn't give up, and somehow he slipped through.
Now, once he broke away from the 3, Tommy Grabowski came over and did throw a block that helped out on that return, but a great individual effort on the most part there.
If you don't have the ball, I mean, Grabowski gets the ball a lot, but if you don't, you better be blocking. If you're part of Bob Wolfram's offense, he demands it. Ben Zeckman under center. Eisenhower in motion. Handoff Grabowski. They got big penetration there. The blocks and the holes are not there as much as they were last week. Luke Ordway powered his way through. Wyo's going to call timeout. Bob Wolfram didn't like what he saw there. That's a loss, or did he got out of the line of scrimmage, I guess, so no gain. This is a really, really interesting timeout for Bob Wolfram, with the holes not opening up like they were as easily last week against Pottsville. And I mean, on a 1st and 10 and no gain. And Coach Wolfram very clearly said, let's talk about this, because this is not going well.
No, when you look at the offense so far for Wyomissing, their longest play of the game was that 3rd down pass to Aiden Mack that went for 49 yards. Otherwise, so far in this first quarter, the run really hasn't been there. Boyertown, knowing what Wyomissing is going to do for the most part, and they're going to dare Wyomissing to throw the football, it looks like.
Next week here at home against a Hamburg Hawks team that's pretty darn good this season, by the way. Hamburg yesterday won over Mahoney area 21-0, and the Hawks with some dangerous offense, 3-0. It's homecoming next week. It's the Hall of Fame ceremony next week. We'll carry that Hall of Fame ceremony as well, by the way, beginning at 1 o'clock, a half hour before the 1:30 game. End around, Charlie McIntyre trying to turn the corner. They've got some speedy guys there on the Boyertown ends, and Roman Marinello caught up to Eisenhower. It's a gain of about 4, 3rd and 6 from their own 40 for Wyo, with a 7-0 lead and 3 minutes to go in the first quarter.
But there, Coach Wolfram going with something that worked on the touchdown play, a sweep to the outside. So far, running up the middle against Boyertown hasn't worked. So trying something different, trying to get his runners out into some space on the outside.
Jahmai Jackson into the game as the fullback on 3rd and 6. And there's motion on the line, and a flag flies. Wyo thinks it's going to be on Boyertown. I saw a little flinch there on the Wyos, and it's going to be against Boyertown.
No, what I think.
So 3rd and 7 becomes 3rd and 2.
Yeah, what I think Boyertown was trying to say was Brandon Shane going in motion, because that's where they were pointing. Nobody moved on the line. They were pointing at Shane, but he's a receiver. He's allowed to go in motion. And then the flinch you saw was just to get the referee's attention. Hey, Boyertown jump. They touched me. Here's a free 5 yards.
It's really a 3rd and 1 from just about their own 45-yard line, and that changes the dynamics and really potentially 4-down territory here too. And you got the double ends there, and a handoff. Bouncing off is McIntyre, and he was going to be brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Jason Oaks had him, but not for long enough. Charlie McIntyre escaped and got through and free to turn that into a gain of 3 and a first down for Wyo.
And right there, that was just 1-2 by McIntyre. Like you said, he was stopped at the line. There was nowhere to go. He was able to bounce it out, found a little bit of space. Huge first down, and hopefully some momentum now.
2:21 to go in the first quarter, and a first down from their own 47-yard line for the Wyomissing Spartans here. Grabowski back into the game at fullback. In motion, it's McIntyre. Fake the handoff to Grabowski. Big hole, Amory Thompson! And they bring him down, almost horse-collared him, and almost was home free and off to the races. When he gets out of the open field like that, I'm used to seeing him sprint the rest of the way. Yard line, so march off a few more. And now Wyo is 15-yard mark off. First down for Wyo at the 20.
And you were asking where the big holes were? There they were right there. Huge hole.
That's on the side with Williams and Aikman, so without having seen the replay here, I'm going to guess it was those guys paving the way. Well, Javan Williams lining up. I see Preston Aikman on the left side now, left tackle, and Grabowski is waiting and taking it and breaking through and off of a tackle and down inside the 10. Brandon Shane couldn't wrap him up, and that's about where are they going to mark it here? Down to the 8. So call it a 12-yard gain for Tommy Grabowski. First and goal from the 8 for the Spartans with 1.5 to go in the first quarter. Already a one-score game, and the Spartans threatening to make it 2. Ben Zeckman under center on the right hash. Directly behind center, Julian DeMeo. Tommy Grabowski is behind him. And here's the handoff. Grabowski has the blockers there. He's pushing his way forward into the end zone. Touchdown, Tommy Grabowski. It's his 4th time into the end zone this year. And it's 13-0 Spartans. Well, now they're getting the blocks, and sometimes you can penetrate, but that big offensive line, they'll wear you down sooner or later, and you already see some evidence of that in the first quarter. You get some big plays, but you got to be able to do it over and over again against this gigantic offensive line of the Spartans. There's Ian Levering. His extra point is up, and it is good. Next week, it is the Hamburg game against the 3-0 Hamburg Hawks. It's homecoming, and it's the WFA Hall of Fame induction ceremony that we will carry on SFBN on our YouTube channel. And so our broadcast will begin at 1 o'clock. Tune in early. The game is at 1:30. Well, the Hall of Fame ceremony a half hour before that. We are honoring 2 classes, the 2020 and 2021 inductees. We did not have a formal induction ceremony last year due to COVID rules. 2020 class, Carrie Bickle, Ben Datto, Andrew Case, Paul Shadler, Eric Schmoyer. And this year's class, including Jeff Binder, Gregory Lord, Michael Mancius, and Al Silveri. So we have 2 classes for the Hall of Fame ceremony on homecoming next week against the Hamburg Hawks. What do you got there, Paul? 6 plays for the drive in 1:17. Was that it? Boy, that's fast.
That's it. 1:17 to go, 65 yards. Helped out by 2 penalties for 20 yards. So That timeout worked. That was a great timeout.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I totally forgot about that. You go back to that timeout on 1st and 10, stuffed at the line of scrimmage. The blocking wasn't there, and Bob Wolfram says sometimes we get a lead and we lay back a little bit. And they've had 2 games where they really haven't been at their very best in the first half. And Bob Wolfram doesn't want this to kind of drag out to halftime as much. He doesn't want to wait till the third quarter to see his team's best effort. Kate Sennett had brought that back for Boyertown. And so here comes Ant Panarello and the Boyertown Bears with 1:01 to go in the first quarter and a 14-0 lead for the Spartans. But yeah, he saw that the first play of a drive, he sees no gain. He sees 1 or 2 or multiple things he doesn't like. He calls timeout there, and then home free and off to the races. And Wyo kind of gets their act together after that timeout call. Kind of a basketball timeout in its own way. Well, here is looks like Egby bouncing off a couple of tacklers and gaining a couple. Boy, really nice to get the full house here again, really, at the A field, and the fans sitting there on the grass hills on the end zone instead of watching from the gate outside, which is what we had last year when we started these broadcasts on SFBN because we couldned bring all the fans and all the community here. But, now we're a lot more normal, and it just feels good. 2nd and 7. They called Colin Nadrowski on the tackle on that play. Panarello has 2 running backs along with him. He was going to throw. He didn't see anything. Takes it himself and is tackled there. And Colin Nadrowski is in on the tackle again. So the Nadrowski tradition continues after Evan was basically filling in as a fullback about this time 2 years ago and never carried the ball before. And then he was considered all league and a 2-time district champion fullback was Evan Nadrowski. Well, Colin is doing quite nicely on the defensive side of the ball as a sophomore. That brings us to the conclusion of the first quarter. It is 14-0, and this is Wyomissing Spartans football on SFBN.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
All right, as we head to the second quarter, Wyomissing leading 14-0. In that quarter, the Spartans, despite some of their struggles, ended up with 102 yards of offense to go with those 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, for Boyertown, just 19 yards in that first quarter, so 102-19 in terms of yardage. And on the scoreboard, more importantly, 14-0.
3rd and 2, handoff. Marinello came around, and now he's got an open hole and downfield. And look at this. Nice big gain and their biggest offensive play for Boyertown, courtesy of Roman Marinello, who's tackled by Nevin Carter. And if Carter doesn't get him by the ankles, then Marinello might have been home free.
But again, this is the danger of the option. You can't get sucked in on that dive fake. And that's something Boyertown's been doing a lot of up the middle. On the play to end the quarter, they'll draw up the middle with Panarello, and there Boyertown breaks it outside. Wyomissing gets sucked down. Huge play to the outside there for the Bears.
Leo Egby is directly behind Panarello, who this time is under center. In motion now is Roman Marinello.
It's Egby up the middle.
And it's Egby who takes it right up the gut. And he had some blocking there for him. And pushing the YOD line around a little bit. Boy, we got some real battles in the trenches here, maybe a little more so than what we've had in our first couple of games. It's a gain of 4 for Egby. 2nd and 6 from the 40.
And Egby's a dangerous runner. He had 91 yards against Exeter last week. 2 weeks ago against Upper Perkiomen, 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's dangerous and someone Wyomissing does have to pay attention to.
Fake handoff, and now they're going to bring it to the man sweeping back behind, but then he turned it right back up the middle instead of trying to go around the end. Did Jason Oakes after the fake handoff to Leo Egby, and he got stuffed at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
Long with 25.
Jemai Jackson and Caleb Brewer right there to stop that play in its tracks. Great play, considering what Boyertown just did to get a first down earlier. For those two to track him down and make sure he doesn't break free on the sweep.
3rd down and 6. And again, in this option offense, Ant Panarello is under center. Taps his foot for Marinello to go in motion. Handoff Egby. And a whole bunch of guys with the penetration and getting through, including Tommy Grabowski and Riker Jones teaming up on that tackle, mostly Riker Jones. Now we've got 4th and 5 from the 40. And I think they're going for it here from the YO 40 because it's really too close for a punt to be that effective. Yeah, they'll take their chances here, trailing 14-0 for Ant Panarello and company. Dead center of the field. He has Roman Marinello wide right. Play action, smack down at the line of scrimmage. Matt Kramer returns to the lineup and makes a big play to block the pass on 4th and 5.
Welcome back, Matt Kramer. I know Wyomissing didn't have him the last couple games, but there just ran right past his blocker.
First and 10, Wyomissing area.
Panarello had no chance. He tried to roll out, but I mean Kramer must beat Panarello to the spot.
Yeah, and I mean it threw it right into his hands. Big defensive plays last week, like the interceptions for Eisenhower and McIntyre, the fumble recovery for Julian DeMeo, blocked punt the week before by Jack Miller. I mean, they're coming up with big plays in big moments. There's a handoff up the middle, and Ben Zekman gets me with some of those fakes and misdirections. This was a handoff to Grabowski, and I thought it might have been going to McIntyre on the sweep coming back around, but instead it's McIntyre just smash-mouth football right up the middle for a gain of 9. It brings up 2nd and really less than a yard, almost right on the 50-yard line. Grabowski's getting some big yardage now.
And you have to wonder, how much is Boyertown starting to wear down? You know, Wyomissing just keep running at them.
That offensive line is going to wear you down. It certainly looks like they are. Kramer checked into the lineup, and here's the handoff going to Drew Eisenhower off left tackle. A couple of guys are going to get there to him, but it will be a gain of about 3 for a first down for Wyomissing with 8:45 to go in the second quarter and a 14-0 lead for the Spartans.
And it's funny, we talk about wearing down the other team. Coach Wolfram, before the game, talking to us, is afraid of his team always getting tired.
Well, they play on both sides of the ball, and that's going to be a big factor come October 1st in the game on the road at Catawissa against Southern Columbia and their currently 62-game win streak, because they got a lot of guys that play on only one side of the ball. And so if that's a close game by the 3rd or the 4th quarter, then the conditioning and the endurance and the energy levels for Wyo and all of their two-way players, that could end up being critical. That'll be a conversation for 3 weeks from now. I cannot wait for that game on Friday, October 1st at Southern Columbia against the team with the longest win streak in the country. They'll be the favorites, but Wyo is obviously very good and will have more than just a fighting chance in that game. And the two active winningest coaches in Pennsylvania, and Jim Roth and Bob Wolfram, that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so we pushed them backwards on the YO penalty. They're taking some penalties here at some inopportune times. It is 1st and 15, play action. Ben Zekman's going to throw, and it's caught. He's got Rory Falloon right up the middle. It's a gain of 17 on 1st and 15. Just enough for the first down for the senior tight end, Rory Falloon.
And that was just great presence by Zekman. He knew he was going to get hit on that rollout, and before he did, was able to get just a great throw off.
Last week, Ben Zekman was 2 of 5 passing. This week, what is 2 of 2, right? I think he hit.
I believe 2 of 3.
2 of 3. So he had 1 incompletion. I mean, he had the big gain for Aiden Mack, and he's got the big one here, 17 yards for Rory Falloon. In motion is Drew Eisenhower. There, it's up the middle, and mostly stuff, maybe a gain of a couple, and a couple of guys are getting pretty physical down there, including Nash Conrad, who's a 6'2" tall junior lineman.
First in on the play.
So what do we have? About 7 on the play. Or I should say 2nd and 7 on a gain of about 3. Falloon checks out. Nevin Carter, the senior receiver, enters the game on 2nd and 8, really. from the Boyertown 34. And Ben Zeckman's going to throw it again. Yeah, he's got Nevin Carter in the right flat. Dodges a tackler. Slips away on his little juke to the open field, and Roman Marinello caught up to him and brought him down, but it's a first down on the completion to Nevin Carter, and the third completion for junior quarterback Ben Zeckman.
I have to be honest, this is my first introduction to Wyomissing football. This is more throwing in the first half than I expected to see all game long.
They can throw it, they can air it out when they need to, and here they are when some of their runs have been stuffed, but certainly older brother Zach Zeckman, we could see him throw. You know, it is a run-dominated offense, but that doesn't mean they can't pass the ball, and they're doing so here. Here's Ben Zeckman. He's going to hand off to Grabowski. He's got the blockers out of him, and he's going to blast his way forward for a gain of about 8. And it's big chunks of yards now for Wyo.
Grabowski inside the 15 on that carry.
And maybe only a gain of about 5. I thought Grabowski got a little further than that, make it 6. So it's going to be 2nd and 4, it looks like. And it's all the way down to the 13. The Spartans are driving and already leading by 2 scores with 6:20 to go in the second quarter.
For Boyertown, 2nd down.
All right, Ben Zeckman, right hash. Grabowski is behind him. I see Amory Thompson is the left tight end spot. And here's the handoff. Grabowski trying to turn the corner there. Didn't have a lot of blockers over on that side. Gavin Chamberlain is a junior linebacker, number 40, who spun down Grabowski. Well, he turned that into a gain of 5. I didn't think he'd quite gotten that much, but he's all the way down to the 10. It's 3rd and 1 from the 10 for the Spartans. 9-time district champions and back-to-back trying for their first ever three-peat. And the way they are off and running this season, one thinks that they probably have a pretty good shot with Bob Wolfram's wing tee. Ben Zeckman is directing Nevin Carter to go wide right. They got split backfield now. Amory Thompson is in motion. Handoff, Grabowski grabbing him by the ankles, but he's leaning his way forward and using all of that 6-foot-tall, 200-pound frame to try to chug across the 10 into the 9-yard line. He did, and he got just enough on a gain of 2 on 3rd and 1. 1st and goal for the Spartans coming up.
And something important there, you had Zeckman move Carter outside. That had to pull the defender away, because if that defender's there, I'm not sure Grabowski's able to get that extra yard he needed to get the first down.
Again, split backfield with Grabowski and McIntyre. Thompson in motion. Fake handoff. Give it there. Eisenhower diving for the end zone, jumping his way in, and he got there after it looked like he was down at the 3. He didn't touch his feet to the ground. He used his hand to push himself up and dives across the goal line for a touchdown, and what a play for Charlie McIntyre.
I don't even know what to say about that. Just great effort by McIntyre. Like you said, the will to get in the end zone. I think everybody thought he was going to go down at about the 2, but he put that left wrist into the ground, dove forward, and broke the plane. Great run on that counter play.
Levering extra point. It is up, and it is good. And it's the most points in the first half this season for the Wyomissing Spartans, who take a 21-0 lead. There have been a couple of runs, including the Amory Thompson return that I'm thinking of, and that run there for McIntyre's touchdown. You know, we talk about the blockers in front of these runners so much and how they open the big holes for them, and sometimes it's the type of play where I could carry it forward. The hole was that big. But now we've had a couple of others where it's been kind of a 1-on-3, and they're still able to slip through, and that's what Charlie McIntyre did right there. It was phenomenal stuff on that 8-yard touchdown run. The WFA will be honoring the Class 3 District Championship teams before our October 23rd game against Schuylkill Valley. So it's the 30th anniversary for the 1991 Class 3 District Championship team, and it's the 20th anniversary for the 2001 team. That happens before the October 23rd game against Schuylkill Valley, against the Panthers, who are 0-3, by the way. So kind of a not good start for them. And that's a little bit further on down the season, but another special one that'll be here at the Ainfield at Wyomissing High. 21-0 Spartans, 4:53 to go in the first half. And that's an impressive 9-play drive. 4 minutes and 37 seconds on the drive?
Yep.
And wow, and capped by the 8-yard touchdown run for McIntyre. This is a short kick that Brandon Shane will catch at the 32 and get stuffed by a whole host of guys there. I saw Nevin Carter up there. So Amory Thompson, an 11-yard touchdown run. Tommy Grabowski, an 8-yard touchdown run. It was 14-0 in the first quarter, and now Charlie McIntyre has an 8-yard run in the second quarter. And the Spartans are just wearing them down and picking up the big yardage, and they're taking control a little earlier than what we saw in their last two games with their most points in the first half. Week 1 was 14-0, week 2 was 14-7, and week 2 was 14-0. This one is 21-0. And Boyertown can play, but Wyo is really taking it to them. All right, here is Ant Panarello, stomps his foot to send Marinello in motion. Panarello keeps it himself. Whole bunch of guys are getting up there. I saw Jemai Jackson in there, but he wasn't the guy getting in on the tackle. Really, Drew Eisenhower was up there to bring him down on the keeper for no gain, really. Second and 10 from the 33. They called DeMeo as the first one there, too.
I mean, pretty much everybody was there. Nobody fooled. And really, Panarello had nowhere to pitch that football. He just had to go down.
Just a point of clarification on the possible confusion. Panarello, the quarterback. Marinello is the receiver. Sound pretty similar. All right, open backfield. Shotgun set and sends Marinello in action. And he's going to throw it. Panarello to Marinello. I just referenced both. And he's open down the left sideline and kind of pushed out of bounds there with Charlie McIntyre catching up to him. But a nice gain of about 15 or more. And a first down for the Boyertown Bears. TJ Miller said in his team's blowout loss against Exeter last week, and I mean, it got a little out of hand kind of early in their loss to Exeter, 56-8. He said his guys kept on competing. They weren't hanging their heads. They were pushing and battling all the way to the end, and they scored their 8 points with maybe 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They were getting shut out the entire game. So that's one thing you can count on out of TJ Miller's team as well. They're going to keep on coming even when they're down by 3 scores. All right, he looked like he was going to throw. Then on that option, he said, "You have it, Leo Egby." It just wasn't there for Egby. Panarello and was there for him as well, and that's kind of the tricky part there on the option. You know, you're really trusting the judgment of these young guys. He doesn't see the passes there, but Leo Egby had no chance once he pitched it off to him.
No, and something else going back to last week that's carried over into this week. Boyertown down 3 offensive linemen and a wide receiver. You know, Coach Miller said after the game, it's not an excuse, but it's difficult when you're going up against top-level competition in this state, down 3/5 of your starting offensive line, and very hard when you're trying to run this option offense.
A loss of 5 brings up 2nd and 15. Fake pitch. He's in all kinds of trouble. Scrambled away from Amory Thompson, and he actually turned that into a little bit of a gain after he decided to keep it himself, and I don't think that's what he was intending to do. But Matt Kramer catching up to him there.
3rd down 11.
Gain of about 4, 3rd and 11. Boy, the D-line is just blasting their way through here now for Wyoming. Last couple of plays hasn't even been close.
And that's why that pass play was so important for Boyertown. It gave Panarello a quick pass to the outside to try to get their guys in space because Wyomissing's defense isn't giving them any on these run plays.
All right, he's got Egby sidecar right. Shotgun formation, handoff to Egby. And he's going to sweep around to the left, and he's going to turn this to a first down and more. And he's going to take it to the house. It's a 49-yard touchdown run for Leo Egby. They couldn't catch him in the open field, and the Boyertown Bears on the board on the Leo Egby 49-yard run on 3rd and 11.
And he does this. He has this explosiveness. Last week, he had a 54-yard run. You know, he had 107 yards in the opener against Upper Perkiomen, so he's someone you do have to key on. And there, I mean, the defense did a nice job turning him back inside, but there was no one left for Wyomissing to make the tackle, and he just broke it out.
Really looked like they were going to get him at about 5 or 10 yards, and that was it. And then he had that big burst of speed down the left sideline. The kick is up and good for Zach Foskey.
2 minutes, 25 seconds.
And the Boyertown Bears on the board. It's Wyomissing 21, Boyertown 7, with 2:25 remaining in the second quarter. So that's enough time for Wyo to put together a drive here and try to make it a 3-score game going into the locker room. Calling all Wyomissing area school district alumni. It's time for you to return home. We allow fans in the stands again. It's a lot more normal now, and the homecoming game is next week against the undefeated Hamburg Hawks next Saturday at 1:30. I mentioned yesterday Hamburg winning over Mahoney area 21-0, and they're 3-0 now. So you want to talk about a pretty nice challenge. It's on the way for the Wyomissing Spartans next week. Fleetwood won yesterday over Upper Perk 41-0. And for the Fleetwood Tigers, their first shutout in school history. And it's going to be on the road at Fleetwood in 2 weeks. You've got a couple of really tough challenges, and Boyertown is presenting a formidable challenge here today for Wyomissing as well. All of this leading up to that big game against the Southern Columbia Tigers on October 1st. And also yesterday, how about the Kutztown Cougars? And they won 76-37 over Pacoima Valley. At halftime, it was 58-29. This is the same Kutztown team who came in here to play at YO last year, and they knew they were going to get their doors blown off, and they only had 18, 20 players dressed. They had lost 33 in a row, and then yesterday they scored 76 points, and they're 2-1 now. I mean, they're playing some slightly lesser competition, but still, this is a team that has lost 33 in a row, and yesterday they put up 76 points, and they almost lost their program, too. And they really had to save that program from even being eliminated because they're getting crushed and they don't have enough players. They bring in other players from Brandywine to join Kutztown, and they can barely field a team. Can they even keep the program? And they barely kept it afloat instead of just saying maybe this isn't worth it and eliminating it. And then yet now they're 2-1 with 76 points. I'm so happy for those guys.
And regardless of the competition in that situation, wins are wins, and we're going to keep that going because you don't want to see schools lose programs, regardless of what the sport is, you don't want to see that anywhere.
76 points is 76 points. Here's a squib kick. It's going to be picked up. Is that McIntyre or the up man? It is, and he can run. He's in the 45 and up to the 50, and terrific field position for the Wyomissing Spartans to start relay on the Boyertown 49-yard line. The WFA thanks the Wyomissing Area School District Administration, and it's a pairing that's gone hand in hand, and they're allowing us to bring you this broadcast. And with Athletic Director Frank Ferrandino and Head Coach Bob Wolfram and all of our fans and all the members that we've added via these broadcasts where you exclusively get the link to our game coverage. Boy, it's worked out very nicely. Nevin Carter's open in the left flat. He's tiptoeing the sideline, and then he kind of leans out of bounds at the 41 right in front of us, as a matter of fact. And he's a yard shy of the first down. Ben Zekman is airing it out a little bit more than what we've seen in the first couple of games. It'll bring up 2nd and 1 with 2:12 to go in the first half, and the Spartans leading 21-7.
And airing it out because Nevin Carter, you have a tremendous size mismatch here on the outside. Carter listed 6'5", 190. Cole Sennett, who he's lined up against, 5'8", 145, so a huge advantage.
Ben Zekman goes down. He kind of tripped over his own 2 feet, and he got the ball off to Grabowski for a first down anyway for the Spartans. So it's a 2-yard gain for Tommy Grabowski. Bob Wolfram has complimented Ben Zekman's footwork. It wasn't really that much worthy of compliments there. But he's a guy who gets it. He's been doing this for a while and now stepping in for his older brother as the starter. And, he turned that into something that really could have been disastrous while he's going down after the snap. Here's Ben Zekman back to throw. There's a blitz. He might have almost gotten a hand on that ball. Very close. But then that lob out there made it through to Nevin Carter anyway for the completion. What a weird-looking play, because at first I thought the pass was going to be blocked, and then the pass looked very weak and soft, but it still made it through to Nevin Carter, and on top of all of that, we've got a flag on the play. That's a face mask against YO, and so on the personal foul will bring it back. And the Spartans are hurting themselves with some of these penalties, and that's kind of helping Boyertown hang around in this game a little bit too.
Fourth penalty today when they've had 3 in the first 2 weeks of the season. So this is going to come up at halftime.
And from the spot of the foul all the way back to the 50 brings up, I think it's second down or first down, and 22. Second and 22 from the 50, I think. The chain says first down, but it's not first because they had the Grabowski roll was for a first down. You're right. First and 22. Well, kind of stuff there, the line of scrimmage by Roman Marinello on the carry to Drew Eisenhower. And a gain of maybe a couple.
Roman Marinello.
Call it 2nd and 17 from the 47. Something like that.
2nd down, 22.
I don't think it's 22, but here's Ben Zeckman rolling left, all kinds of time. Nevin Carter open, juggled it, caught it. Yeah, he had possession before he went out of bounds. It kind of bounced in his fingertips a little bit, but he caught it as he goes out of bounds at the 35-yard line. And it still brings up a fairly long 3rd down, but it's at least doable. It's 3rd and 8 from the 35, and only a minute left till halftime.
But you know what? You don't. This is 4-down territory right here, so you don't have to get all 7. It'd be nice if you could, but you could run this twice. You still have a couple timeouts to work with as well.
Thompson and Carter wide left, handoff, open hole. Drew Eisenhower spinning his way down to about the 28. That's where he needed to get for the 1st down. This will be very close and kind of depends on the spot here as he is brought down by Jason Ackery, and they might mark him short. Yeah, it's a 4-down territory, 4th and 1. Looks like timeout is going to be called here.
Are they going to measure, potentially? I mean, he looks pretty short.
I mean, it looked like he was waving there, but, you know, with the way that they spot the balls now, they shouldn't have to. They're just going to hold the ball down.
Yeah, they're going to measure this.
Okay, they are going to do this. Yeah, that's what the signal was. I thought that maybe Wyo was going to call timeout here. They'll bring out the chain so that they can see exactly how long they have to go on 4th and pretty much inches, or 4th and a foot, from the 28-yard line with 54 seconds left in the 2nd quarter and 3 touchdown scores today. They've distributed the wealth all season. Yeah, it's more than a foot.
I'm surprised that I honestly needed a measurement.
Well, they don't. They just wanted to see how long it was going to be, so that everybody's kind of on the same page. Because the yards are right, the chains are right there on the yardage lines. So now they know exactly how long. And Ben Zeckman on 4th and call it a half a yard. I mean, you know, not quite a full yard. Big play here, especially for Boyertown. Down 21-0, and now it's 21-7, and they're trying to hang in this game. And, boy, if they get a big stuff here, that's momentum for the Bears into the locker room. And in motion, here comes McIntyre on the sweep, and yeah, see you later. All the way down the right sideline and tripped up and out of bounds, almost down to the 5. A gain of about 23 for Charlie McIntyre on the sweep, and it's a 1st and goal for Wyomissing. With 42 seconds left in the half. First and goal from the 6.
For the Spartans from the 6.
Split backfield like they like to do when they're getting into the red zone, getting it tight. Here's Tommy Grabowski blasting his way forward. Luke Ordway got him by the ankles. Gain of a couple for Grabowski, and timeout on the field. I think it's going to be called by Wyomissing, and it is. And they announced McIntyre. I beg your pardon, so I had the wrong number there. And Charlie McIntyre was on the carry there. Before our home game, and we've done this every home game at Wyomissing since September 11, 2001, and now 20 years later, the Spartans have carried the United States flag onto the field and presented that flag to a person who served in the military. On this, the 20th anniversary of September 11th, they presented the flag to the family of Dave Bunn, who passed away on March 22nd of this year. Dave was a major supporter of Wyomissing football and an assistant girls basketball coach, and a friend to everyone in the Wyomissing community. Dave Bunn proudly served in the U.S. Navy and was stationed at the Philadelphia Navy Hospital as a corpsman. And a heartfelt thanks to Dave for his service in the U.S. Navy and for his service to the Wyomissing community. We all miss Bunzy, who was honored with his family there, receiving the flag on the field presented by Alex Kaufman, a tradition that began on September 12th, 2001, the day after the 9/11 attacks, and it's a tradition that they have now kept here at the A field for 20 years. 25 seconds left in the half. 2nd and goal from the 4, and so you're fighting the clock as well, and it's not a gimme by any stretch. And again, similar to the last play that was 4th and 1, it's a big opportunity for Boyertown. Amory Thompson is in motion. Fake the handoff. Play action as Thompson caught in the end zone. Out of bounds. Yeah, he was out of bounds, and they're going to rule it incomplete over there.
An incomplete pass from
He caught it, but he was kind of tiptoeing and leaping when he caught it. Amory Thompson was out of bounds on that far sideline. 3rd and goal from the 4. He was wide open, Amory Thompson was. 3rd and goal from the 4, 19 seconds left. Now you should still have a timeout left here, too. Ben Zeckman under center as Amory Thompson split backfield. Handoff, Grabowski off left tackle. He's in! Touchdown! Tommy Grabowski! It's a 4-yard touchdown run. It's his 2nd touchdown of the game. And it's 27-7, Wyomissing with 15 seconds to go in the half. Punching it in on 3rd and goal from the 4.
And the big play of this drive was that 4th and 1, because if Boyertown gets a stop, they would get the ball to start the 3rd quarter, so you could have been potentially looking at a 1-score game. Now, 3 scores going into the locker room.
Ian Levering extra point is good.
28.
And really, Wyomissing in many ways picking up on the momentum they had in the second half last week against Pottsville, where it almost felt like it was too easy at times with those gigantic holes. This is not as easy against Boyertown. Pottsville, by the way, racked up 35 points and had a big win last week after yesterday. After Wyo had dominated them the week before. Pottsville, previously number 10 in the state in 4A, they might make it back up to the 10A, even though they dropped out, of course, after they really got crushed by Wyomissing. But that was a team that maybe is a bit better than Wyomissing made them look, and then Pottsville shot themselves in the foot with the 4 turnovers in the game, too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This week, Boyertown hasn't turned the ball over yet. It's just been this defense really stepping up and making plays when they need to.
Right. Pottsville shot themselves in the foot, made it a lot easier for Wyo, who was already the better team. And Pottsville was going to have a big challenge. And then when you're just giving the ball away over and over, then you got no chance. All right, 15 seconds left in the half. Ian Levering ready to kick off. And a very good first half against the Boyertown team that by the eye test is not half bad at all. And Wyo is still dominating to the tune of a 28-7 lead. Here's a bouncer on a squib kick from Levering. It'll be picked up by Cade Sennett. His 3rd return. He's going to scramble to his left, go a little east-west action, and tripped up at the 30-yard line with 11 seconds left in the half, and we'll see if Ant Panarello even does a play here, or if he's going to just take a knee and get this back to the locker room. It's still going to be a challenge in the second half, even though Wyo is comfortably in front, but as they displayed last week when they got blown out by Exeter, they keep pushing on the effort, and they've got some big bodies there on the front lines. And they're a little younger, so that's a difference maker here, but they're going to keep on pushing and not give it to Wyo. Here we go. They're going to actually run a play here. They're not taking a knee either. It's a handoff. Leo Egby chasing after him is Jack Miller. Egby cuts it in, and then he got hit by Matt Kramer and brought down. That'll do it. Drew Eisenhower got up there on the tackle as well. And that gets us to halftime. 14 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second quarter. And it is 28-7. Wyomissing leads at the half on touchdown runs for Tommy Grabowski, a pair of them, Amory Thompson and Charlie McIntyre as well. Leo Egby got Boyertown on the board with 2.5 left in the first half on his own 49-yard touchdown run. And some really nice, long, sustained drives, even on shorter fields, for Wyomissing there in the first half, eating up clock and resulting in scores as well.
Yeah, we'll see how that wears on Boyertown going in the second half. Those last 2 drives, like you said, 9 plays, and they only had to go 110 yards to do that. So 18 plays, 110 yards. That's going to wear down any defense.
Tommy Grabowski picking up big chunks of yardage, averaging almost 100 yards per game. I don't know if he's going to get to 100 today, but he's off to a pretty darn good start. And the Spartans, as well as a team, on their way potentially to a 3-0 record, are the defending District 3 3A champs with a 28-7 lead over the Class 6A Boyertown Bears in the home opener for the Wyomissing Spartans. Spartans football on SFBN is presented by the WFA and the Wyomissing football program, along with our sponsors, including the Berkshire Family Restaurant of Wyomissing, GNA Restaurant of West Reading, and the Hitching Post of Leesport, PA. Along with Paul Gronowski, my name Bob Rotruck. We're at halftime, and it's Wyomissing 28, Boyertown 7 at the half. Here comes the Wyomissing marching band, and enjoy our halftime. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Get you ready for second half action. It's Wyomissing Spartans football on SFBN.
Will Benameda, drill instructor. The band would like to thank the school board and community for their support in purchasing our new uniforms.
It started Tuesday. That was first day of class was Tuesday, so they just started. They were really late. Maybe it'll come late. Yeah, once track gets going, like his winter break, Christmas like was back for the next year. Even though the rest of school goes in the back end of the middle of January, he's back. You got some kids this. Start with. Start this Monday. Hey, how are you?
It's hot because I'm picking up the bag, so be careful.
Shot up. Where's Evan?
Halftime at Wyomissing Area High School, and the Wyomissing Spartans leading the Boyertown Bears 28-7. The Spartans looking very good to improving to 3-0. Are the number 3 rated team in the state at Class AAA. Bob Rotrug here with you, along with Paul Gronowski. 2 touchdown runs for Tommy Grabowski, and also touchdown runs for Amory Thompson and Charlie McIntyre. Leo Egby for almost 50 yards, got it back with 2.5 left in the first half. He had a 49-yard touchdown run to get Boyertown on the board. Elsewhere, and we're always proud of our Wyomissing alums, including and especially Alex Anzalone, formerly of the New Orleans Saints, now with the Detroit Lions and the WFA and Spartan football family, congratulates this former Spartan great who has been named the defensive captain for the Detroit Lions for the 2021 season. He was obviously so huge for the Wyomissing Spartans on that 2012 state championship team that went 16-0 as a quarterback, and of course on the defensive side of the ball where he has thrived in the National Football League, and now as a captain of an NFL team. You want to talk about the great tradition, and you've got a tradition-rich program here in the form of the Wyomissing Spartans. And Paul, Wyomissing in the first half, they faced some challenges here from Boyertown, but I think they met those challenges quite capably, and they emerge with a 28-7 lead, which I think is especially impressive.
Yeah, I think when this game started, we saw Wyomissing go down the field in that first drive. We're thinking, okay, this is going to be a walkover, knowing what we know about both teams coming in. But Boyertown, really stuck it to Wyomissing a little bit. After that first touchdown drive, Wyomissing went 3 and out, going with -5 yards. But then Bob Wolfram, on that second touchdown drive, not liking what he was seeing out of his offense, called timeout early in that drive.
It was on the very first play of the drive. I mean, that's stunning. On the first play of the drive to call a timeout like that.
Yeah, and then after that timeout, they marched right down the field, went 60 yards to go up 14-0. So Boyertown, some challenges early on, but then Wyomissing after that timeout really got things going. And, I mean, Boyertown's competing, but, Wyomissing was just too much in that first half.
Wyo is airing it out a bit more than what we saw out of them in the first couple of weeks of the season, and Ben Zeckman is looking a little bit more like older brother Zach Zeckman in that first half.
Yeah, he made some great throws in that first half, throwing the ball 7 times. He went 5 for 7 for 104 yards. Found Nevin Carter, I mentioned in the first half. He's got a great matchup against Cade Sennett in terms of the size differential, 6'5" to 5'8". And Ben really making that work, going 3 times to Nevin Carter for 36 yards. Of course, the big play on that opening drive when the run wasn't working was a 49-yard pass to Aiden Mack to really get them going into scoring position. Also, Rory Falloon with a big catch late in that first half to help Wyomissing go up to get that final score.
That was a 19-yard reception on a 3rd and 17, I think it was.
That
was the play to Rory Falloon right in front of us here, kind of late-ish in the second quarter. That was, 19-yard pass doesn't sound like a big play, not the biggest as 49 yards with Aiden Mack, but that was on 3rd and 17, and they got 19.
And that came immediately after a face mask penalty, so they were backed up. That's why it was 3rd and long. Actually, that was on the 3rd touchdown drive, so that really helped that this game start to get out of reach, because that made it 21-0. And then also on the ground, as you mentioned, Tommy Grabowski just doing yeoman's work as he does every week, 62 yards, a pair of scores. Also, Charlie McIntyre getting into the act with 39 yards as well. So it's really been a balanced attack, and everybody's getting involved, and that's why it's 28-7.
And in total for Wyomissing, 231 yards, including 104 in the air for Ben Zeckman, who was 5 of 7. 90 yards for Boyertown, 49 of which came on one play on the Leo Egby touchdown run, and otherwise they've really struggled to move the ball. They had the one big play, and for the most part, that was it. So, as we get ready for the second half in just a couple of moments, the Wyomissing Spartans look to be in very good shape to improve to 3-0, entering their game next week against the Hamburg Hawks, who won yesterday 21-0 and are also 3-0. How about this stat for a 6A program in Boyertown that is rebuilding? They were 2-5 last year. They went winless in their conference, but they want to take on the best of the best, even though it's a smaller school, and the 3A size Wyomissing. And I'm just sort of paging through Twitter, and Paul Roberts is on Twitter, and he's observing what I noticed as well. The size of the rosters, 81 players on the Boyertown roster, even though they're very young, and they have 16 seniors, but not all of them play. Some of them are out with injuries. 81 players on the Boyertown roster. You got all the two-way players on Wyo's roster, and they have 43 players. They have a roster almost exactly half the size of Boyertown's roster. The Spartans have only 12 seniors. I say only because they had more than that last year. And they just, played a Daniel Boone team in week 1 that had 19 seniors. That to me is interesting. I was also reading, apparently, a Penn State assistant coach had come to one of the practices earlier this week to watch Wyomissing. And you look at a guy like Javen Williams, who's a junior, and has the quick feet as well at 6'4", 310 pounds. We know he has Division I potential. That's no secret. Will it be major conference powerhouse D1 potential in the form of a program like Penn State, where he might be joining Nick Singleton, who yesterday set the all-time Berks County rushing record in that win for Governor Mifflin? Will he end up going there? Well, Penn State at least is expressing interest in Wyo. We assume that at least one of those guys that you're looking at would be a guy like Javen Williams, certainly.
Yeah, especially for a conference like the Big Ten. You look at the size of those offensive lines. Javen Williams, especially when he gets another year under his belt, he's only a junior. So you think of him as a senior, I mean, he would be a great fit for a Big Ten offense.
Well, it looks like it's possible. I mean, they're giving him looks. Ian Levering is going to kick it away to start the second half. And that's picked up by Egby. And now he's going to be met by a whole bunch of guys. No, he still slipped his way free. And brought down by William Delp. The junior defensive back got up there to him. He got some carries as a running back, too. So Boyertown will start from their own 30-yard line, it would appear, to begin the third quarter, and Wyomissing with a 28-7 lead. Spartans football brought to you by the Berkshire Family Restaurant of Wyomissing, GNA Restaurant of West Reading, and the Hitching Post of Leesport. Proud sponsors of the Wyomissing Football Association and our broadcasts and the Wyomissing football program. Handoff to Egby, looking for holes. Nothing is there.
Egby trying the left side.
And I mean, we've seen a lot of tackles for no gain or tackles for loss. Grabowski got up there on the tackle, and it was no gain. And we just, the offensive line isn't really able to get much for their guys there for Boyertown. 2nd and 10 from their own 30 for Ant Panarello in the shotgun. Leo Egby sidecar right. There's Marinello in motion. Throw it out to Marinello on the left flat, but it was a little wide of his fingertips, and he couldn't quite catch up to that. Could Roman Marinello. Couple of plays, they just haven't been quite on the same page. I mean, that one's just a pitch and catch, shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, and that's the second time that happened. It happened earlier in the first half, but the one time it did work, they did get a good gain out of it, so that play is there. They just haven't had the execution needed to pull that play off. 1 of 3 on a pass out into the flat. Needs to be a little better there.
All right, Egby is directly behind him and almost kind of a pistol there. And here's Ant Panarello. Oh, he's scrambling away from the pressure. Aiden Mack is chasing after him. He's going to keep it himself and get bumped out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Scrambling away after the pocket kind of broke down. Grabowski catching up to him, and Aiden Mack was chasing him from behind. Well, they are announcing Julian DeMayo as well, and it's 4th down. And I think Boyertown's going to punt it away, and they are. Rory Falloon and Andrew Delp enter the lineup. Caleb Brewer is a talented sophomore, exits. So does big man Javen Williams. And Amory Thompson is deep to return for the Spartans on a 4-and-out for Boyertown. 4th and 5 from their own 35. Punting is the big foot of Colin Eisenhard, I should say. Oh, that's a low snap. He's able to pick it up and get it away. And it's a boomer, but it's going to go out of bounds. Well, he was kind of a little bit off balance there because the snap was in the turf and skipped up to him, and he still had a big leg on that. Colin Eisenhower's got a booming punt. So no return try for Amory Thompson. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 35 for Ben Zeckman, 5 of 7 passing in the first half.
Yeah, just to go back to Eisenhardt, that's just a nice play to pick up that punt. That's a punter's worst nightmare, is a low snap. Throws off your timing, and he had 3 Wyo defenders bearing down on him.
Amory Thompson in the left slot and Tommy Grabowski directly behind him. There's Eisenhower in motion, but the handoff is to Grabowski, who's going to blast his way right up the middle. And more big chunks of yardage for Tommy Grabowski. That one is an 8-yard gain after he had 63 yards in the first half. And Grabowski entering this game with 178 yards on the season. He's coming off a 100-yard game last week, and maybe on his way to another because he's at about 70, 71 yards now. 2nd and 2. Here's the handoff to Charlie McIntyre. He's going to cut it back inside, slip his way free, and down to the 35 and across the 35, tripped up by Ant Panarello, who normally serves as their quarterback. And there he was saving a touchdown. Big cutback by Charlie McIntyre. That didn't look like it was going to be much.
Honestly, though, I mean, the cutback was there because John Gartner and Jackson Miller blew their guys out, leaving that hole. It looked like it was supposed to go out to the outside as a sweep, but out, leaving a huge hole to run through. So great job by the left side of that offensive line.
From the same formation, you've got 5 or 6 different plays or even more that you can run out of that from the defensive side. You just don't know what's coming. Here's another handoff to Grabowski. He's got the blockers. He's tripped up before he took that to the house. And Cade Sennett brought him down, but Grabowski a gain of 15 and up to 85, 86 yards now on the game for Tommy Grabowski. First down, Wyo to the Boyertown 18-yard line. And this really looks like a matter of Wyo's offensive line just wearing them down in the trenches, and the holes just get bigger and bigger. And credit to the running backs as well, because they're slipping free when really they should have been brought down for little gain, and they're turning it into big plays. Grabowski checked out. Zeckman's going to throw as a receiver out on the right flat. Looks like it's caught way over there. We have kind of a low angle, but way out there. Nevin Carter complete for maybe 4. Yeah, they give him some forward progress there. 2nd and 6 at about the 14, coming up for a while. Yeah, they're on the move again.
Yeah, and again, it's these holes that weren't there in the first quarter, right up the middle. You know, I mean, the one big play was on the outside, but now you're starting to see more gains up the middle. And like you said, it's the offensive line and these running backs that are just wearing this Boyertown defense down.
Matt Kramer at fullback for Grabowski, but this give is to Charlie McIntyre at halfback. And he's going to blast his way over to the 11-yard line. Gain about 4. Bring up 3rd and 1. I liked how Bob Wolfram, and he said this to me before, but I wrote it down this time. You know, it's not just the fullback who's carrying the ball like Grabowski normally does, but the halfbacks ahead of him, they're pretty much glorified guards. Those guys got a block too, but they're all picking up touchdowns. I mean, it's if it's 5 touchdowns in a game, it's usually 5 different guys that carry it into the end zone. Amory Thompson in motion. Thompson trying for the sweep. Yeah, it's there. There's a flag too. Thompson diving his way across the pylon, out of bounds at about the 1. But we've got the yellow on the field again, and so let's see what we've got. Maybe he made it across the pylon for what would have been a touchdown, but this might be coming back.
I have a feeling this will be holding, and it is.
Yeah. Yep. Holding against Wyo, and a team that has been staying primarily infraction-free for their first 2 games. And yeah, the hold was, well, it was almost at the line of scrimmage.
17-yard line.
3rd and 9 from the 17 now. Well, we haven't had a field goal try for Ian Levering, but if they don't convert on this 3rd down, this might be his first field goal attempt of the season. 6 touchdowns in week 1, 6 more in week 2. And he was 13 of 14 in the extra points, and today is 4 of 4 with 4 more touchdowns today. A team that had 62 touchdowns last season in our abbreviated campaign. They have 16 touchdowns already. 3rd and 9. And here's Charlie McIntyre pushing his way forward for about 5. I think it was Justin Anasea who got there to him. And it is going to be Ian Levering. And we're going to see if he's got enough leg here for this field goal try. Might have been Cole Conway, 59 on the tackle, actually. So a 32-yarder. I mean, Aiden Cerulli is all-state caliber, and now it's Ian Levering taking over as the kicker here in his first field goal try of the season from 32. And the kick is blocked at the line of scrimmage. Or I should say blocked right on top of him there. And there's Panarello getting on top of him. Panarello busted his way through. And if it wasn't Panarello, it would have been Cade Sennett, number 10, who was also there. Nice play on the special teams for the Boyertown Bears.
Dropped on his block at
there'll definitely be some things for Coach Wolf from whatever the score ends up being for him to talk about going into next week's game for sure when he looks at the film.
Next week is going to be very interesting against a Hamburg team that's 3-0. I mean, some of these teams that YO rolled over last year, they're simply better this year. Twin Valley is better. Kutztown is better. I don't know how much of a challenge they'll present, but they're certainly better than 33 losses in a row. Egby's in all kinds of trouble, and Amory Thompson's going to get on top of them and bring them down for a loss. Amory Thompson came around from the side there and chased him down. Julian DeMayo was involved in that as well.
Yeah, Kramer and Jemai Jackson also there as well. I mean, everybody was there. Egby really had nowhere to go.
Loss of 2. 2nd and 12 from their own 24 for Boyertown with 6:50 left in the third quarter. And the Wyomissing Spartans leading in their home opener 28-7. This is a new quarterback, I beg your pardon. And this is Ryder Garris, who's in at QB, and he connects out there to Roman Marinello. And yeah, that's Garris who's in. I don't think he was in on the last series, but he comes in now. So it's number 7, Ryder Garris, who's a sophomore quarterback. And I don't know if there was an injury or if they're just getting Garris some reps in a 28-7 game. But I'm pretty sure it was still 12 Panarello. You know, Panarello made that tackle in the secondary on the previous Wyomissing drive, so I wonder if something happened there.
He did also block the field goal, so maybe when he was getting tackled.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he blocked the field goal, too, off his hands. I mean, you know, can jam a finger, too. That's true. He came in and blocked that field goal try, so it might have got him in the hands. That's absolutely possible. Ryder Garris, you know, on the keeper. And he pushed forward for a couple of yards. Now he's coming all the way over to the sideline and catching up with TJ Miller and getting the play spoken to him. I mean, he's really getting thrown in here and figuring it out on the fly.
Yeah, tough spot to come in. I don't think he was expecting to come in at this point in the game.
I think this was last second, right after the blocked field goal. I think you're right. And it's first down on the 37-yard line. You get in there on a blocked field goal off the hands, it can absolutely jam a finger. You know, it can happen to you in basketball if you know what I mean there. All right, here's the handoff to Leo Egby. Stuffed behind the line of scrimmage with Matt Kramer and Jack Miller getting in there. And a loss of 1 or 2 for Leo Egby.
Push back to the 36-yard line.
Ryder Garris, a 5'10" tall sophomore. In at quarterback, and they're very deliberate from one play to the next because he's got to come over to the sideline each time to head coach TJ Miller and get the play spoken to verbally.
And that's not something Panarello was doing.
No,
he had a player coming in as a substitution giving him the play, so this is completely different for Boyertown.
All right, here's Marinello in motion, and he threw it behind him. Hey, that's a backwards pass. It looked like a lateral to me, but it bounced out of bounds anyway. So that pass to the left flat with their new quarterback, it isn't clicking any better. They're not on the same page any more so than they were before. And I think that's a fumble bounce. Yeah, they're marking it back. That's not an incomplete pass. That was a lateral because it went backwards and it bounced out of bounds, so it actually turns into a loss of 5 or 6 on the play. And push them back to the 29-yard line, 3rd and 18 or so. They got to get to the 47, and they're on the 29. And new quarterback, Ryder Garris, number 7. Oh, the pocket breaks down. He's in trouble. He's brought down. Julian DeMayo with a sack. Garris couldn't get away. Julian DeMayo had a fumble recovery on a similar pocket breakdown last week.
And on that play, Rory Falloon coming from the other side forced the quarterback over to his right, and there it was easy. DeMayo broke away from his offensive blocker and was right there for a sack, but that play was made by Roy Falloon on the opposite side.
It's about 4th and 30. So here comes Eisenhart. Oh, it's blocked! Aiden Mack got it! And it's picked up by Wyo! Aiden Mack on his way to the University of Richmond. They'll love to see that play by the tight end on special teams.
Max block punt.
And this was something you could feel coming. There have been times throughout this game when Boyertown has come in to punt that Wyomissing has had 2 or 3 players get through that offensive line. They weren't able to get to the punter, but that time Mack finally able to break through, and this is
1st and goal from the 3. Grabowski and Eisenhower in the backfield. Amory Thompson in motion. Handoff. Grabowski. Nobody's going to touch him. He's in on a 3-yard touchdown score. It's the 3rd touchdown of the game for the senior running back, Tommy Grabowski. And it's 34-7 Wyomissing after the blocked punt by Aiden Mack.
And now you can say all 3 phases of the game. The offense that's been clicking ever since the first quarter, the defense outside of the 2 plays have done a phenomenal job, and now the special teams with the block by Mack. Things you want to clean up, but overall, a great all-around performance right now through almost 3 full quarters.
Levering's extra point is good. It is 35-7. Wyomissing after the blocked punt by Aiden Mack. The Wyomissing Football Association, the WFA, is sponsoring these broadcasts. If you're a member of the Wyomissing Football Association, you get the link to these broadcasts every single week for our home and away coverage. We started it last year when we had the smaller crowds and the limitations here, and they proved to be very popular. But to get on board with the broadcast now, you've got to be part and a member of the Wyomissing Football Association. I am told that in our first game of the season at Daniel Boone, we had 10 new memberships sign up during the first game broadcast, with fans saying, hey, where do I get the link to the game? Well, that's what you got to do. The minimum for membership is $25, so it's a pretty good bargain. And we thank all the current members who are jumping on board, who love it. Coach Bob Wolfram says you guys do a great job. This has been so well received. The WFA loves you guys, so it's our pleasure and our honor to be here as well. So all you current members supporting the WFA, you're the ones officially making it possible for me to be here and on the road on our upcoming away games as well. So we thank you for the overall support of the WFA and the program. If you're not a member yet, visit yofootball.com, click on the WFA tab, tell your friends and neighbors as well to join the program. Get in the program, the Wyomissing Football Association. Cade Sennett bringing it back, and then he's brought back by Matt Kramer, among others. Boyertown ball with 3:36 to go in the 3rd quarter, and 35-7 Spartans. Grabowski had a 3-yard touchdown run. I had him at about 71 yards before that. I think he's around 74 or so now. I might have missed a run or 2 in there, so he might be pushing
80.
Yeah, he might be above 80, north of 80 now. Well, as we're getting closer to the 4th quarter, I'm not sure how much we're going to see Grabowski anyway. Here comes Ant Panarello back into the game after the backup quarterback, Ryder Garris, entered on the last series, and he pitches it off on the option, and he's got it out there to Leo Egby on kind of a funky-looking pitch. It worked okay, but he got rid of it as Rory Falloon was hitting him. That could have been dangerous. Instead, Leo Egby turns the corner and turned that into a gain of 8, but pitching it off like that as you're getting hit, he's a little delayed on some of his decisions in this option, and it really could have been disastrous on that play.
And you have to keep in mind, Panarello, this is his 3rd game as a starting varsity quarterback. The option's not an easy offense to pick up, so a lot of these decisions, are tough.
He's going to be better as he goes along and in the next season as well. Leo Egby is pushing his way forward, is brought down by big Jemai Jackson, a 6'3" tall, 240-pound junior. They announced Caleb Brewer as well in on the tackle with Jackson. Egby got enough for the first down, just barely. Mark it at the 40. It's a first down for Boyertown. They're able to move the ball a little bit here against Wyo, but they really don't have too many answers for when Wyomissing has the football, and thus we get a a score that's of kind of a blowout proportion now at 35-7, but this is a really nice opponent and a formidable challenge for Wyo against a team that plays pretty well and puts forth some pretty good effort. All right, here's the pitch off to Egby after Panarello was kind of faking on the keeper out of the shotgun, and Egby's going to turn it around on the left corner, and I mean, they're getting some nice gains here, and that's a gain of 7 or 8 for Leo Egby. Brings up 2nd and 2 as the ball is now on the 48-yard line.
And there on that play, Panarello made his pitch earlier. Rory Falloon came in, and as a DN, you have two options. You have the quarterback, you have the running back. You have to pick one. And there he picked Panarello, made him force that pitch off to Egby, and then Egby was able to turn the corner. But Falloon really making Panarello have to make some decisions, and there Panarello made his decision a few seconds earlier.
All right, in motion is Egby from the left slot. No, this is Egby here, I beg your pardon. And Egby's turning around the other way. He's pretty speedy and tough to catch up to. Maurice Ponton is in the lineup and chasing him down. That was Jason Oakes, number 8, who was in motion. I thought it was a 2 at first. I thought they were lining up Egby way out there. But Egby was in the backfield, and he turns that into a 3-yard gain. Going to that wide side of the field with all that open space, going more east to west than he did north-south. And they get a first down to the 49-yard line and into Wyomissing territory officially. And now coming back from the sideline comes quarterback Ant Panarello, the 6-foot-tall junior who missed the last series after the blocked punt, but he's good to go again now. Cade Sennett is wide left. Egby directly behind him. He's under center this time instead of the shotgun. Handed off to Egby, and he gets kind of stuffed, and then he kind of escaped a little bit past Caleb Brewer and brought down by Jemai Jackson, who's really looking good, by the way, from both sides of the ball as the big man, Jemai Jackson, the junior. He's been an attention grabber in his reps in all 3 games, really, so far. 2nd and 8 from the YO 47.
Yeah, very surprising there to see him run inside. I'm not sure. I mean, the outside run was working. I'm not sure against this D-line of Williams, Jackson, and Brewer, where you're going to go against these 3 up the middle right now.
Well, they wanted to mix it up sooner or later, I guess. All right, here's the keep and then the option, and he flipped it off there, and they'll turn that into a gain of 6 or so to, that was Jason Oakes, number 8, and Grabowski caught up to him for the tackle, and that should do it for the 3rd quarter. I don't think they're going to get another play off here. Want to make sure. I mean, they got 5 seconds left, and they haven't even broken out of their huddle. Well, they still have a chance, and they're going to say, nope, forget it. Let's wait for the 4th quarter. All right, 3 quarters in the books in the home opener from the Abe Field at Wyomissing Area High School. The Spartans comfortably in front of the Boyertown Bears. It's 35-7. And along with Paul Gornowski, this is Bob Rotrug. This is Wyomissing Spartans football, a production of SFBN.
Hi, I'm Marty Bystrom, former pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In my experience in Major League Baseball, I know how important it is for high school athletes to gain exposure. My friends at Payroll Service Solutions are huge supporters of high school sports and the Sports Fan Base Network. If you are a small to medium-sized business in need of a payroll company, contact Payroll Service Solutions. Not only will they take care of you, they will continue to support the community. For more information, contact Payroll Service Solutions at 215-624-0922 or 866-PAY-EASY.
Keegan Keller, Ashley Freeman.
Terrific crowd today. The student section is back. It feels a lot more normal than what we had in a very weird season last year, which was still a successful one, with Wyomissing going all the way to Hershey Park Stadium before falling to Central Valley in the state championship game at 3A. Here they're taking on the 6A Boyertown Bears. And Wyomissing with a 35-7 lead. Handoff to Leo Egby on 3rd and 4. He's going to muscle his way across the 40-yard line. Very close to a first down. I think he got it. It'll be close. Amory Thompson brought him down. And now where are they going to spot the ball? It's going to be a little shy. Yeah, he didn't get there. I thought they'd give him the forward progress there, but it's about 4th and a half yard here from the 40 or the 39 from Boyertown, and obviously they'll go for it.
Now, it'd be interesting to see what they do. Do they go outside? I mean, Falloon almost had that play stopped in the backfield, and I'm surprised no one else was there to help bring Egby down. But I'll be interested to see where they go because they haven't had success up the middle, but they only have to get a half a yard.
All right, under center here again, Panarello, and they're just going to blast their way right up the middle there with a big man, Cole Yasavage. And he'll get the first down. Got a couple of blocks, and I think you're kind of expecting Leo Egby because he's having a terrific second half here, is Egby. But here it's Yasavage who had the carry, and the muscle man pushed his way forward for a first down to the 38 of Wyomissing with 11 minutes to go in the game. 28 points in the first half is a season high for Wyo. North of 80 yards for Tommy Grabowski with 3 touchdowns today for Tommy Grabowski. Normally the scoring is distributed a lot more equally, but 3 out of the 5 are Grabowski's today. That's a little unusual. And there's the pitch to Egby right as he got hit big time by Jack Miller. Egby turned that into something, but Jack Miller got a big chunk on Ant Panarello.
Wow. I mean, he was shot out of a cannon on that play.
Yeah, I don't think they touched him on his way in. And there have been a couple of times where Panarello has pitched it off just a half a tick before contact, and you're very close to pitching it into open air when the lateral gets disrupted by the hit. It hasn't quite happened yet, but boy, he's taken some punishment back there. He'll go out of the shotgun again now. Yasavage is slot right, has a receiver Sennett left, handoff Egby. Nope, there's nowhere to go. That was Jack Miller who caught up to him first, and Maurice Ponton who finished it off. And a loss of 5 or so, maybe even more. 3rd and 13 from the 42. Big plays defensively for Wyomissing.
And it's almost, at this point, you just have to key on Egby. That was his 8th carry this drive.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten a lot of it, but I don't think that's a sign of him wearing down. It's the defense that was pushing through. Oh, here goes the blitz, and see ya. Rory Falloon's trying to time the count and got in there with everyone else just standing around. So 3rd and 13 will become 3rd and 8. Falloon was getting jumpy. He almost timed the count, and you know what? I mean, it might have been Ant Panarello seeing him coming and stopped his count. I mean, he might have faked him out that way. I mean, because we could see it from here. I think that Panarello, the junior quarterback, could see it too.
I mean, the way that Wyomissing's defensive line has been getting pressure in this second half, you have to do something to try to change it up, and there Falloon he fell for the hard count.
Will he do it again? That's the thing. Do you run the same play? Falloon is linebacker way out right. No, he's not going to press this time. Panarello's keeping it. And he runs into contact from the same guy, Falloon, in with Amory Thompson and Jack Miller on the tackle. 4th and 7, and you're in 4-down territory here at the 35. So I assume, especially in a 35-7 game, there's no point in really punting the ball here. And it'll be Boyertown to go for it on 4th and 7 from the 35.
Yeah, and this is the compete Coach Miller wants to see out of his Boyertown team right now. 4th and 7, you're on the road. You know, how much do you still want it?
Leo Egby, his sidecar left there. It might be Oaks who's alongside to his right. And he's going to drop back and throw. He's got the blockers, airs it out, and nope, that's going to get sailed over everyone. Cade Sennett was trying to get open, but it was a mile over his head. Coverage with Drew Eisenhower on the play. And why not go for broke on 4th and long? But they turned over on downs, and the Wyomissing Spartans will take over now. I want to see if it's still Ben Zeckman who's going to run the offense here, and it is. Logan Hyde is the sophomore backup quarterback, number 9. But Ben Zeckman here for this drive. We're not in mercy rule time. It is a 28-point differential at 35-7. Let's see, Amory Thompson, Jemai Jackson, and Charlie McIntyre are all in.
Also, Nicholas Hoffman in, I believe, for the first time seeing him at wide receiver today.
Yeah, Nick Hoffman is wide right. Oh, here comes the reverse. Thompson gives it back to Charlie McIntyre, and you know what? They didn't bite. They didn't fall for it. They've had a few plays where
Charlie McIntyre wrapped up.
They kind of stuffed him there when Wyo got a little tricky. That's the first time we've seen the double handoff, the reverse try, where usually we see that from Wyo once or twice before we get to the fourth quarter. But it's only a gain of 1 for McIntyre after he took the give from Amory Thompson, and it's 2nd and 9.
I mean, this is going to sound silly. That play almost happened too quickly where the Boyertown defense couldn't get out of alignment.
They didn't have time to bite.
Right, yeah, McIntyre just ran into the guys that were already there.
Jemai Jackson, the big man, is behind Ben Zeckman, who is under center. And it's a fake handoff, the play action. And he's got him out of the backfield. Amory Thompson, incomplete coverage for their quarterback there. And Panarello also plays as a defensive back. 3rd and 9 with 7:08 to go in the fourth quarter. Next week, next Saturday, it's the homecoming. It's also the Hall of Fame induction ceremony for 2 classes, the 2020 class that we couldn't do last year, as well as the 2021 class. The ceremony and our broadcast will begin at 1 o'clock. The game is at 1:30, but we will carry the Hall of Fame induction ceremony live next week, beginning at 1 o'clock, so be sure to tune in early. A couple of unbeatens for Wyo against Hamburg. All right, Rory Falloon comes backwards, makes that catch, and then it's brought down at about the 37 by Roman Marinello. Interesting looking play there. Yeah, and I don't know if that was his first option. That was the design. It was hard. It was
a screen pass. Yeah, that was a screen pass. There were blocks. I saw Julian DeMaio out here blocking downfield.
Well, you want to talk about not biting again. I mean, Falloon was covered the whole time when it looked like Ben Zeckman was going to look for a receiver to the left side and maybe air it out for deep and turn that into a little bubble screen right next to him. So here comes Riker Jones into punt on 4th down. He blasts it away. It's going to push Marinello back a little bit. Oh, it takes a big friendly skip, and he's going to slide, and then he got hit there. They're going to throw a flag on that, but he didn't signal a fair catch, so he's fair game.
No, he caught the ball on the ground. He was on the ground when he touched the ball, so yeah, he's down at that point.
So I think that was Amory Thompson who gets a little bit of a lesson there. Too many penalties for Wyo today. I mean, if you want to find a negative and something to, kind of be a little concerned about. I don't think Bob Wolfram's going to panic about that, but there have been more penalties in this game than we saw in the first couple of weeks. Still turnover free for the Spartans, who coming in were already the only team in Berks County without a turnover, and they still are here almost to the end of week 3.
32-yard line, 6:22 remaining in the fourth.
So after the hit there from Amory Thompson, it'll be first down from the 32.
Yeah, 7th penalty today against Wyomissing.
They had 3 in their first 2 games combined. A lot of them today. And in a different situation, that could be a big difference maker, helping Boyertown to hang around in this game. If it had just been a little bit tighter, it might have been pivotal. Leo Egby takes the handoff. Boy, he's had a lot of carries here in the second half as the senior running back, Leo Egby.
Egby trying the right side.
6:08 to go, fourth quarter. 35-7, Wyomissing. I see Logan Hyde is in at defense. We talk about him as the backup quarterback as well. A lot of other players like Riker Jones are getting reps defensively. Cooper Young is in, the junior defensive lineman. Low snap is handled nicely. Pitch off to Leo Egby, who's spun around and brought down. Riker Jones caught up to him over there.
Andrew
Forey, 26 in the game, also involved in that tackle. I mean, this is the opportunity for the reserves, the sophomores, to get the reps, because next year and the year after, they're going to be the guys on the first string and trying to keep this successful streak of the Wyomissing Spartans and the tradition going. So it's valuable reps for these guys, just like it was valuable reps for today's first stringers to get them in the quote, fourth quarter, quote, garbage time last year. 5:08 to go, fourth quarter, 3rd and 8. And Panarello is signaling for his man in motion. He's going to air it out. Boy, that's just a bad pass. And they were not on the same page there with Ryan Spangler deep. Going one way, the pass going the other, and way back there was sophomore Ethan Brower, number 12, on the coverage.
But
and Brower's going to be deep to return here on the punt, too.
But on that play, Panarello really didn't have the time. We thought he would have. Riker Jones got in there and hit him. So that was a rush throw. Good job by Jones to get in there.
Colin Eisenhart to punt, and he's had some big ones and some boomers today. And I think that he should be a little bit deeper here on the return, but what do I know? All right, here's Eisenhart, and he was right. Was Brower. And the punt was actually a little shorter and goes out of bounds, so Brower doesn't get his chance. He goes out of bounds. We got a flag too. Okay.
Yeah, it came in late. Not really sure what it could be.
Could have been a hold on Wyo on the coverage. The officials are talking it over.
Came in very late for it to be a hold.
Logan Hyde is going to take over at quarterback. Well, it could have been a hold on the punt coverage against Wyomissing, not at the line of scrimmage on Boyertown. Is just based on where the placement or the flag is placed. I thought there was a chance of that, and they're going to mark it off. Personal foul late hit is what they call on Wyo.
So after the play.
Yeah.
It's a personal foul late hit penalty against
their 8th penalty. And, I mean, some of these have been 15-yarders, too.
And that's the second consecutive 15-yard late hit penalty.
Yeah, right, because Amory Thompson had the other one that we saw. We didn't even see this one. So Logan Hyde takes over at quarterback with 4:51 to go in the game. The Spartans comfortably ahead 35-7. Jemai Jackson behind him in the backfield. Logan Hyde under center, man in motion, Andrew Delp. There's Delp on the sweep. And all kinds of real estate out to his left on the wide side of the field. Kate Senat caught up to him and hit Andrew Delp. A gain of about 6 for Andrew Delp. And 2nd and 4 from the 36-yard line. It was 28-7 at half. A touchdown late in the third quarter after the Aiden Mack blocked punt is the only score for either side here in the second half, and we're down to 4:18 to go in the game. All right, wide right. Lined up as a receiver is Charlie McIntyre. Logan Hyde under center. Man in motion, Delp, and the give here is to William Delp. Trying to sweep it around the other side. Yeah, got some more pushing and shoving in there, and now some of the emotions
was William Delp on the carry
with some of these guys.
Who had him. Coming down for no gain. A penalty flag came at the end of the play.
They might have offsetting penalties here. It looked like both sides are kind of shoving on each other. They might mark it off against Boyertown the way that they're backing up here. Let's see. Late hit Boyertown, personal foul.
Against Boyertown.
And it's only on Boyertown. Wyomissing took exception to it, but they'll just call Boyertown there.
Yeah,
little frustration late in the game.
Yeah, I think so at that point. I mean, William Delp was just trying to get up, and they wouldn't let him up, basically.
He just goes on to Texas and Florida.
15-yard.
So they mark it off, and with an extra 15 yards tacked on, that turns it into a first down for Wyomissing, and all the way across midfield into the Boyertown 47-yard line with 3:51 to go in the game. And these are, as we said before, pretty valuable reps for these reserves. So, the game is comfortably in Wyo's hands, but let's see how Logan Hyde can do moving the ball. They haven't given it to Jemai Jackson yet. Now they do. I thought they had to sooner or later, and here comes the big man plowing his way forward, blasting through for a gain of 5 or 6 there for big Jemai Jackson. And maybe only 4. Boy, they must have said his knee touched the ground a little earlier than what I thought.
4-yard gain by Jackson.
2nd and 6 from the 43 for the Spartans. I see Evan Blickley in there as well as a sophomore tight end.
Also saw Colin Nadrowski come in as well. He's actually, I think, in the backfield now.
Yes, Colin Nadrowski is lined up as the fullback, just like the bigger bro. And man in motion, that's Andrew Forey. And here comes Riker Jones on the give. We got about 3 or 4 on the play. And it brings up about 3rd and 3 from the 39.
Also looks like Evan Blickley checked in at tight end as well.
All right, here's Logan Hyde under center. I went for the deke and the misdirection there. I'm looking at somebody else, and the ball was actually Colin Nadrowski, who was firing forward, and I'm looking at Andrew Forey there. Boy, that's some good stuff from Logan Hyde. It's about the footwork and selling it on the fakes and the misdirections. And that's where you get the yardage, and that's where you fake out the play-by-play guys sometimes, too.
And then also getting blocks downfield. I think I saw Greg Eberhardt and Ethan Brower down there blocking downfield to help it get those extra yards.
First down from the 27. We're down to 1:45 to go as well. And a fake the gift to Nadrowski, and yeah, he's not going to get very far there as Riker Jones didn't have enough support. And that turns into a little bit of a loss for number 25, who's also the punter, is Riker Jones.
Drops for a loss.
2nd and 13, and we're down to 1.5 minutes to go. Wyomissing on its way to a 3-0 start going in against the Hamburg Hawks, also 3-0 next week. That'll be a good one on homecoming and our Hall of Fame ceremony beginning at 1 o'clock and then opening kickoff at 1:30. And we can only hope to have weather just as glorious as we had today. Just picture perfect, amazing day. That's Colin Nadrowski, number 30 in the backfield. Boy, Logan Hyde is terrific, and he handed it off there out to the left end. Sweeping around is Andrew Forey on the carry. And got a few yards out of that. I'm having a really tricky time picking up the ball from Logan Hyde's handoffs. And if I am, then I know the defense is too.
I mean, these are quick fakes. I mean, they're getting me as well, but and this one looks like it's coming back.
They'll bring it back. I'm going to assume that was a hold. And we have under a minute to go. But I love some of what I'm seeing here out of this sophomore Logan Hyde. But, of course, Ben Zeckman Jr. is still here for another season. But Logan Hyde getting these important reps and looking good as well. You know, selling everybody in the house.
45 seconds remaining.
Colin Nadrowski in the backfield, Logan Hyde under center. Give it to Nadrowski, stuffed in the line of scrimmage. A couple guys spin around and bring them down, including 59 Cole Conway and 60 Jason Ackrey. And that's going to be close to our last play of the game. They might just take a knee from here. Down to 30 seconds to go. They haven't even reset the play clock yet. And 3rd and 20 is coming up. And I think that's going to be it.
I don't even think they have to snap the ball.
No, they don't have to, and it looks like they're not going to. And, yeah, they'll just walk off, and eventually we'll, line up and shake hands. And that's it. The Wyomissing Spartans are 3-0. And they defeat the Boyertown Bears out of Class 6A in a 35-7 final. And the number 3 rated team in the state at Class 3A with another big win to stay undefeated and work in a perfect non-conference schedule are the Wyomissing Spartans going into the conference opener next week against the also undefeated Hamburg Hawks. It's a 3-touchdown game for Tommy Grabowski. It was 28-7 at halftime, and then we just sort of go through the rest of this game and go through the process in the second half. One more score in the second half, and that was it. Just 7-0 in the second half out of the Aiden Mack blocked punt that led to Tommy Grabowski's 3rd touchdown of the game. A really nice performance here for Bob Wolfram's Wyomissing Spartans for his 323rd career win in his 35th year as head coach at Wyo.
Going out a little early to catch the Hall of Fame induction next Saturday.
The second half, we kind of went through it here, and, the first half was really where we saw it happen for Wyomissing, and, the second half, were some of the struggles pushing forward with the ball. We could have seen a little more of that in the first half. We did for a little while there, and there was that key second scoring drive where Bob Wolfram saw, I think it was Grabowski, get stuffed for no gain on 1st and 10 on the first play of a drive. And he called timeout right there, and he might have called 2 plays back-to-back, was my understanding, just to line that up. but also because he didn't necessarily like everything he was seeing there, maybe the effort on the offensive line. And he mentioned to us that the first couple of games his team has gotten ahead and maybe gotten complacent, taking their foot off the gas. It was 7-0 here, and they drove fairly easily for those first 7 points, but he wanted that effort to be there and maybe gave him a friendly reminder. We're kind of trying to read the tea leaves here, but it certainly seems that was a possibility on that timeout, which really felt like a big turning point there, and a timeout at exactly the right time.
It was, because then you had big plays after that, on that drive. After the timeout, you get a 4-yard run, 2 runs from Charlie McIntyre to get your first down. Then you get a big play out of Avery Thompson on a rush. You get a penalty tacked on there. And then you get the 2 Grabowski runs to go in the end zone. And that really is what got Wyomissing going, because the rest of that half, they scored on that drive. Boyertown turns the ball over on downs. At that point, it's only 14-0. Wyomissing gets the ball at their own 40, goes 60 yards, 21-0. Then they trade touchdowns to go in the half. Then you're looking at 28-7. So really that timeout really is what changed the game, because right after it, Wyomissing scored 3 straight times, and that's really what put this game out of reach, because they really didn't get the ball much in the second half.
Well, and it's interesting because it's not like they were putting in the reserves right from the start of the second half. They were still giving it to Grabowski and running all the same offense. Boyertown was up to that challenge. They had the blocked field goal, but the only score that YO had was when they blocked the punt, and they had the ball at the 3-yard line, and otherwise this would have been a scoreless second half. Boyertown did clamp down somewhat defensively, and even in the first half when it was more comfortable for Wyomissing, and Tommy Grabowski racked up the majority of his 88 yards on this game, including his 3 touchdowns in this game. But in the first half, it was a decent challenge. We saw that even more so in the second half. This was a good test against a larger program with twice the number of their players on the roster for this 3A smaller school program in Wyomissing. And Wyomissing comes through with flying colors, and they win 35-7.
Yeah, and I don't think this is a score we expected coming in after the win against Pottsville last week. You think it's like, okay, here we go. They're on a roll. And they were in the first half, but it's going to be a good challenge going into conference play. There's going to be a lot here. When Coach Wolfram looks at the tape, there's going to be a lot he's going to be happy about. Tommy Grabowski, had a good day running the football. Ben Zeckman, threw the ball pretty well.
5 of 7 in the first half. That's more than he's thrown it all year. So that was certainly something, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he threw it 2 or 3 times in the second half. Didn't need to do that as much with the score as it was. So you have that. There's a lot to be happy about. No turnovers again for the 3rd straight week.
0 turnovers all season. The only team in Berks County that can say that. And I mean, that is pretty incredible. And, regardless of whether they, are a run-dominated offense and out of the wing tee, 0 turnovers is 0 turnovers. They were beating themselves a little bit with the penalties here today.
9 of those.
With 9 is too many. A couple of them were, past the point where this game had already been decided. But still, that's a concern, and they can't have that. But still, 0 turnovers in 3 weeks. You almost take it for granted with this team. But to drive it home, every single other team in Berks County has had at least 1 turnover, if not more than that. These are high school kids, 15, 16, 17 years old, and they just don't drop the ball. They protect the thing once they get it.
I would love to know what they do during the week at practice. Are the running backs carrying footballs around with them to class? In the hallway, other players are trying to smack it out of their arms, and they have to run laps if they drop it. Like, is that the sort of stuff they're doing? You have to wonder because, all these carries, you'd think a drop snap would get away at some point.
Right, and anything. Yeah. And it's, you got about 15 assistant coaches over there running their really well-organized practices, which I have seen, and I mean, it's top-notch. And what should be top-notch is our matchup next week on homecoming here at Wyomissing and the pregame Hall of Fame ceremony with the 2 classes. And so that begins at 1 o'clock. We'll have our coverage on YouTube beginning at 1 o'clock, even though the game is at 1:30. But we have back-to-back Hall of Fame classes inducted at 1 o'clock. 2020 class, Carrie Bickle, Ben Datto, Andrew Case, Paul Shadler, Eric Schmoyer. 2021 class, Jeff Binder, Gregory Lord, Michael Mancius, and Al Silveri as well. So that's special. It's the homecoming as well. So you Wyomissing alums, we want you to join us. And next week, the Hamburg Hawks should present a formidable challenge for Wyo in the conference and league opener. Hamburg won yesterday 21-0 over Mahoney area. Hamburg is 3-0. Wyomissing is 3-0. This should be a fun conference opener, and then after that, they're on the road for the next, 4 straight? Because the following Friday at the Fleetwood Tigers, who are 2-1. And then Friday, October 1st, we're 3 weeks away. The Southern Columbia Tigers up in Catawissa, the two active winningest coaches in Pennsylvania. We're going to actually have some television coverage as well for that, as well as our broadcast here on SFBN on the YouTube channel. Friday, October 1st at Southern Columbia, the 4-time defending state 2A champions on a 63-game win streak, which is the longest win streak in the country. And their win streak by the time that they meet Wyo on October 1st should be at 65. And the all-time Pennsylvania record is 66. And you want to talk about a wonderful, colossal matchup between Bob Wolfram's Spartans and Jim Roth's Southern Columbia Tigers. These guys aren't looking ahead to that, but they are certainly looking forward to it, and they were very disappointed that they couldn't play that game with Southern Columbia here last year because that was one of the games they got chopped off the schedule. Southern Columbia was not allowed to travel outside its region, and the first half of the schedule got chopped off, and all of that happened. But now the big matchup comes up when Southern Columbia will be likely on the verge of history, and standing in their way, Wyomissing, who went to Hershey Park Stadium last year, two teams that appeared in the state championships last year. That's going to be the game of the week in the entire state of Pennsylvania. I can't wait for that game on October 1st, and then at Twin Valley and at Kutztown, who put up 76 points yesterday. It's not the same Kutztown team that had lost 33 in a row when we saw them here last year, and it ends, the regular season ends on October 30th against a very good Conrad Weiser Scouts team. I'm just getting on a roll now, just thinking about this schedule. We've only just begun. It's not the same kind of schedule as last year where Wyo really wasn't challenged during the regular season. They're going to be challenged, and they're going to be challenged even more so potentially next week when the Hamburg Hawks come in. So we look forward to seeing you then. That's a 1 o'clock broadcast, kickoff at 1:30. Thank you so much to Paul Gornowski here on the broadcast. The Wyomissing Spartans go to 3-0, and they defeat the Boyertown Bears by a final score of 35-7. I'm Bob Rotruck. Talk to you next week, everyone, from the A Field at Wyomissing Area High School. This is Wyomissing Spartans Football, a production of SFBN.